Hi, I'm Roberto Martinez and you're watching Toffee TV.
Welcome back to Toffee TV with me, Peter McPartland and Barry Cass, and we are downright miserable. We're just miserable, aren't we?
Just in general.
I've had a couple of weeks off, you know, just in the sun, chilling out, and then you come back. Okay, you get a nice 4-1 win against Wolfsburg. Everything seems to be rosy after the West Brom game. And then Crystal Palace at home, and it all just comes back to being Everton again, doesn't it?
Deja vu.
Very much deja vu.
Deja vu.
Good signing him.
He'd have been good. He's a good centre half, I believe. But yeah, just very, very disappointing, deflating, and uncannily the same feeling as back in April. Such a strange game.
It was a very strange game. Very much in control. But let's just look at, you know, beginning of the game, the substitute, the changes that were made to the team. Osman coming in, Atu coming in, Eto coming in, Distan coming into the side, forced because of the injury to Seamus Coleman. Let's just deal with that one first of all. Stones has played the last couple of games centre back. You know, we've conceded 1 goal in those couple of games. A terrifically hit free kick. Let's just say against Wolfsburg, and it looks a little bit more solid. It hasn't looked amazingly solid, but it's looked a little bit more solid. And then we come to this game, and Stones just shifted to right back, a position he's never really looked comfortable in playing for Everton. This time goes back in, and yeah, should we be doing that as a Premier League team? Should we be having to push our right back out to our centre back out to right back to accommodate, you know, an injury? We should have a backup, surely.
Just depends how he sees it, doesn't it? He sees Distan as a player who's been part of this defence for 5 or 6 years and done very, very well. Played all last season in the heart of that defence with Jagielka, 3rd best defence in the Premier League. Okay, we know he played a portion of that with John Stones at centre half, and they've done very, very well together. So I think us as fans look at it and think John Stones is probably our best centre half now, and he's getting shunted out to accommodate Distan. But it's who would have played at right back without Stones playing. Stones broke into the Barnsley side and was signed by Everton as a right back. Okay, he hasn't always looked as comfortable at right back as what he does at centre half, but I think people jump on that, him at right back, and talk about him almost as if he doesn't know the role and he can't play it. I don't think that's the case. I think what happens when he goes right back is he's not Seamus Coleman, so there's a glaring hole in that right hand side, whether that be John Stones, Tony Hibbert, Phil Jagielka, James McCarthy. They're not the same as Seamus Coleman. We've got a real problem, if you like, at right back when Coleman's not there, because we can't replicate that. We all thought it last year with Leighton Baines when Bainesy got injured. Only Brian Oviedo came in and done exactly the same.
Added something different.
Now, whether that would have happened if Tyus Browning would have gone in at right back, we don't know, do we? But I think that picking up on John Stones at right back, I don't think he's how people portray him, as if he's a liability there.
No, but with the other side of things, let's not look at it as a negative. What we're talking about is the positives of John Stones' games, being a centre back. Should he be moved out of that position where he's looked arguably comfortably our best centre back so far this season?
Yeah, but I'm not going to argue with you on that, because for me, I think when everyone's fit, it's Stones and Jagielka for me. I think that one of the interesting things that I'd like to say is that when Jagielka's played left centre back, he looks better.
Yeah.
Ironically, even though he's right-footed, he seems to. I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's having Baines there. I'm not so sure whether it's just having John Stones alongside him. He looks so much more comfortable. Stones is a massive part of how this Roberto Martinez side play. We can't play the way he wants us to play with Jagielka and Distan centre half. I think more and more teams are. It's the second season syndrome, if you like, but not in the way that people say it'll dip. Just in the way that everyone knows how we play now. So they'll press high up, or they'll force Distan and Jagielka into knocking long aimless balls, where Stones won't do that. He'll knock it and get it back and give and go. And we lose a little bit of how we play when he isn't at the heart of the defence.
And also, it means Barry has to drop deep. We've said this before. Barry has to drop a little bit deeper. The midfield gets opened a little bit more up, and the team gets moved around a little bit. But that's just one change. I mean, Osman's coming as well. Atsu come in as well, and Eto. And personally, I thought Everton were going to line up 4-3-3. Possibly Lukaku playing on one side, Atsu on the other, and Eto going down the middle. But that never really seemed to happen as well. What seemed to happen is Lukaku playing down the middle. Atsu was playing a little bit more narrower. Eto was playing a little bit more narrow, and Osman was there in the middle to sort of be the playmaker, to open up the space in between the centre back, Crystal Palace's centre backs. And that certainly happened for the opening goal of the game. And we'd seen that just before with Osman playing a little nice ball through. I think it was to Atsu, never quite finished it off, and then he plays it to Lukaku, and Lukaku finishes brilliantly. But what happened after that was Crystal Palace sort of looked at it and went, let's close. We need to close that gap. We need to make sure that doesn't happen again. And Everton just didn't react to it, and I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. I mean, I wouldn't have made the changes he made anyway. Personally, I think we're in September. We've played 4 league games up until before yesterday. Before the Palace game. Okay, we've had a Europa League game. That's 5 games. Players don't need the rest after 5 games. They really, really don't. We've got a Capital One Cup coming up on Tuesday, where the chances are he's going to make wholesale changes, or it was his opportunity to make wholesale changes. I think obviously he can't do nothing about Coleman. There was an injury, he wasn't going to play. But I was surprised to see Morales and Naismith drop out, and McGeady to a certain extent. I could have coped maybe with Atsu for McGeady, but I think Morales and Naismith should have started as well, because you play at this moment in time. What Everton are trying to do is they're trying to build a bit of momentum. Yeah. They're trying to get themselves into the season so players know what each other's doing. It doesn't help anybody chopping and changing. And he made the changes, and like you've just said, we started off well. We scored a very, very good goal, and the first half an hour was probably as easy as you'll ever get in the Premier League.
But is that half the problem though? Is that Everton are strolling through these games? We've seen it at Leicester as well. They're strolling through them. They're just passing the ball, they're keeping it, they're moving it. They're not really making any chances, but they're not sort of trying to create chances. They're just trying to control the game and wearing down the opposition is probably the wrong word, but almost just trying to frustrate the opposition to start having to come out at them, and then that opens up spaces behind them. And is there a school of thought that at 1-0 you say, right, let's go for the jugular, let's go and get the second goal, let's in a way kill the game off, or certainly change the tactics of the opposition? Because what it looked like to me was Palace were quite comfortable at 1-0 as well, because they thought anything could happen. We could just knock a long ball up the pitch, and that's what happened. And something freak happens, and you get a penalty, and suddenly you're back in the game. And Everton are having to sort of step up again, where sometimes it's very hard to step up when you've just been playing in a sort of controlled manner, but a flat manner.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because you're caught sometimes between the devil and the deep blue sea. I think it's almost a mentality shift, really, because certainly for us watching it, for a lot of years, certainly under the previous manager, we were, by him, billed as the underdog, if you like, or a team that shouldn't really be where they were. But now I think the way Everton play under Martinez, and certainly what they've done last season, they're now a team that controls the games. And there's that mentality shift when you're in control. But there's being in control of a game where you are just keeping the ball for the sake of it, and there's really hurting the opposition the way. And I think Liverpool done it really well last year when they got the noses in front. They pressed and passed, and it was nice and sharp and incisive. And how many games did they just go 1, 2, 3, and it was done. And it was done and dusted. And I don't think Everton have learned the art of that. Even in the back end of last season, when we were pairing and we were playing some fantastic football, there was still games where we were struggling to kill the opposition, and you're thinking we need to be quicker, things are too slow. And this season's just
even against Wolfsburg, score 4 goals, but we never looked truly in control, or it wasn't that we were flooding forward and trying to score every opportunity. It was just bits and pieces.
They were a good side though.
Yeah, but what I mean is that there's never a game where Everton get 1 or 2-0 up and go, keep going. We're just going to hammer these. You never think Everton are going to hammer anyone, no matter how much control of the game they are. And maybe that's what, as fans, we want to see a little bit more of. We want to see us go for the jugular, because if we're going to concede ridiculous goals, I'd rather concede ridiculous goals when we're banging on the door and the tempo's really high, because that to me is what football is about. But to concede ridiculous goals like we did in this game, in a manner we did, you just look at it and think, oh, come on, we're better than that. We are better than that. There's so many positives about the way we play football, and then you look at how we've played this season, the goals we've conceded, and how unnecessary all they are. Every goal we seem to concede comes from a mistake, and it was no different. Sunday, a penalty, confusion between Stones and Howard. It's 1-1. Next minute, another second half.
There was no confusion, by the way.
Was there not?
Goalkeeper shouldn't have been anywhere near there. He's not there. Stones puts it out.
Yeah.
He makes the error. He stays on his line. Done this, like he does this time to time. He has a game like he did on Thursday. He just encapsulated for me anyway, Tim Howard. Thursday night he was ridiculous. He was brilliant, or sublime rather. He was sublime. Sunday he was ridiculous because there was no reason. They weren't even in the game, and he comes flying off his line, and it's a penalty.
And then you go into the second half, where a deep ball gets sent into the box. He comes out. It's a normal catch, and if it's not a normal catch, it's a punch for a nervous goalkeeper, and you just take your pick. What he doesn't really do either. He gets under the ball. How it gets above him, I'll never know. And it's a good header for the striker. The striker's there to header it in. Fair play to him. And you're 2-1 behind in a game that you've got complete control in, football wise. And then we're chasing the game. We're trying to get that second. They're trying to get that second goal level up and then go on from there. And then a player simply dwelling on a ball too long because he's looking for that perfect pass.
Someone said he never got a call.
Oh, he did. Yeah, he got 35,000.
Shouted him.
But it's like the dwelling on the ball because he's looking for the perfect pass because he doesn't want to just hoof it out.
But I thought though, even at 2-1, there was no barnstorming reaction to going behind. I thought I think it was the 55th minute when they went 3-1 up. So there's still the best part of 40 minutes, and they were poor. They were very, very poor. And so you're thinking, we just stepped this up 5%. We'll equalise here, and then we can go on and win it. And we didn't. We just got the ball down, and we started slowly passing it again. And once teams like that just put 10 men behind them, will frustrate you. You've got to be fast. You've got to move the ball quickly, side to side, go through the middle, pull people out of position. Samuel Eto'o on the wing at 33 is never going to work.
But you also need dynamic players to do that, don't you? And we never really had those dynamic players on the pitch. Certainly not in pairs, because I think football's all about pairs. Never really had them on the pitch, and
we went 3-1.
Till brings Morales on, and he's always looking to move the ball, and he's got lively people around him. It was just a day of just strange things happening. We finished the game with 75% possession. They had allegedly 4 shots on target, if you include the one that hit the bar. Individual mistakes are costing us again, but it's also our inability to kill games off, inability to have tempo, and we've mentioned it. We go into the final third, we're 3-1 down, and yes, there's a little bit more tempo, but why isn't that tempo there when we're 1-0 up? And
But the goal, the move to get the penalty, was the first time he really played sharp and decisive passing. It was nice and quick and bright. Lukaku plays a little round the corner. James McCarthy does well, gets across the defender, down, penalty. Then we do another couple of ones. Lukaku puts one over the bar. Morales hits a post late on, or the keeper saves it. I can't remember, he went in, it was that fast. And you're thinking, why weren't we doing that 25 minutes ago? Why are we waiting until the crowd are screaming us forward, and that kind of picked us up and shook us out of our lethargy? And I just think, I don't know whether, I know in games I played when I was playing football, and if we were playing in different sort of competitions and the manager took 3 or 4 players out for a game, not your concentration, but you kind of feel like, oh, this is probably an easier game here because A, B and C would have been playing if these were boss. And I don't know whether that does it to professional footballers, but it kind of does it to me. I thought it was a little bit disrespectful early yesterday because I thought that we haven't won a home game now since we beat Manchester United, I think, in the Premier League back in April. We've got Crystal Palace coming. It's not as if we've steamrolled the other sides before us and thought, right, we can take chances here. And I just think, let's not try and be too clever at the moment, because when we've got no momentum, let's go with our best 11
Points on the board.
as often as we can, and then let's manage games. Let's get 60 minutes in against Crystal Palace and be 3-0 up, and then say, Morales, come and sit with me, Naismith, come and sit with me, you come and sit with me, and then 3 go on.
But
That's how I thought.
It's interesting as well the way we're looking at the squad rotation, because we heard all the shouts of Europa League. This is why we don't want to be in it, but that shouldn't come anywhere into it. But what will come into it is how we manage the squad, and we know players are at different levels. We know that's Atsu's, first start.
I thought he was bright.
I thought he did okay for what the time he's had on the pitch. Players are all at different levels, and the way we're playing is slightly shifted because of the players are going in, and you've got the likes of Oviedo coming back, and you've got the likes of Coney coming back, and Gibson's on the pitch at a different level, and there's all those little things, and you're just thinking, I understand why you're trying to give him a game and him a game and him a game, but some of us are scratching our head and thinking, well, why didn't you play at least 9 of the team that started against Wolfsburg, and then put wholesale changes in for the Swansea game, and then go back to having you pretty much your starting 11 against Liverpool, and then make a couple more changes for Krasnodar, and then obviously you got old, and I don't know whether that at the moment it's almost like we've got all these competitions, so we have to make changes. And
I just think I think some managers do fall into that thing where they look at the squad and go, right, I'm going to drop him because we've got that game there, rest him there, and I'm just not sure whether you do need to do it. Certainly not this early, I think. Look, he has all the data in front of him, and he might have seen that Stephen Naismith's a bit tired. Naismith and Morales might have gone to him and said, I'm not feeling 100%. We don't know. We can only surmise as fans when you're looking at it. But it was a strange one, and it just feels like we're shooting ourselves in the foot, and we've done it. I think every game, we play 5 league games now. We've won the possession in every single game we've played. To me, we've dominated all 5 games. Even the Chelsea game, we were all over. They were ruthless. Talk about Palace being ruthless yesterday. And we found this. I think Arsenal had 5 shots, I think, or something at Goodison, and scored 2 goals. I think Crystal Palace have had 4 and got 3. Chelsea had 8 and have got 6. So it's almost as if every mistake we make ends up in the back of our net. And last year, we've conceded, I think, 14 goals from 21 attempts, which is outrageous, But it tells you that we've kept the attempts down to 21, which I suppose, on a positive side, out of 5 games, that's not bad. It's 4 a game, which is incredible, really. We played Arsenal, Chelsea, that's incredible. But it's the other end. Last year we were keeping clean sheets, or it would be the odd goal. But even when a team scored last year, you thought, right, okay, we'll pick this back up. I don't think that's there at the minute. I think when we concede the goal, like Arsenal, we were so far ahead in that game. It was a boxing match, the Al phrase. If it was a boxing match, it'd have been stopped. They scored in the 84th minute, and Goodison went,
well, we've been leading.
Done it yesterday.
We've been leading in 4 games and only won 1. Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing, isn't it? We've had the lead.
I suppose that you're spot on. I suppose the other side of that would be, well, it only takes a little bit of.
But you don't expect that from an Everton side, do you? You don't expect that. You expect an Everton side, once it takes a lead, to cling on to that lead. And we've got players on our side who've gone through all that. These are not new players to the way that Everton have been set up in the last 5-6 years. There's a good mix of new and old, and the old ones should be dragging the new ones through, and unfortunately it seems like it's the old ones that are causing all the problems.
Do you think we've had as much protection from the two in the middle?
Well, we've said this before, haven't we? We've said about Ross Barkley and how he is a midfielder come striker, whereas when Naismith plays in there, he's a striker come midfielder, and it's a completely different thing.
Well, he cheats through games, Naismith, he's not a striker, but he's playing in the area where Ross Barkley plays, but he's not doing what Ross Barkley should be doing. There was an incident in the Wolfsburg game the other night in the second half, and we were 3-0 up at the time, and they'd just gone on it. They'd had a shot or had a good move and it broke down, or it gone off for a goal kick, and Tim Howard actually run off his line and grabbed James McCarthy by the shirt, and he's pointing to Naismith, saying to McCarthy, tell him to come in here, because Luis Gustavo was playing with a cigar, because Naismith was stood next to Lukaku, And Luis Gustavo was just playing in
Well,
a
we've
pocket
said this
behind him.
before, haven't we? We're playing more as a 4-2-4
It's a 4-2-4.
than anything else, and that's not been quite addressed.
But again, that yesterday was a total shift again, because it
Yeah.
went from a 4-2-4 to a 4-3-3. But it wasn't really
No,
a
because it was so
4-3-3.
narrow.
And yeah, it was.
And we go back. We
everything
talk about obviously with John Stones at the beginning. Obviously, the right back position is so important, and we missed Seamus so much yesterday because there's so many times in the game where we play with the fullbacks obviously bombing forward, and Seamus will play past Gareth Barry. He'll be past Gareth Barry, and Gareth Barry, when he gets the ball, will have that option of going forward and have Coleman and whoever's on the midfield there as well. And yesterday, when you looked at it, every time Barry got the ball, John Stones was behind him, and John Stones was having to make up those 10 yards to get the ball.
It's not natural to him.
Exactly. So there's that as well. There's so many little things yesterday that, you know.
But that can all be addressed, can. If we get Seamus back, you know, he'll go back into being on the halfway line when we get the ball. John Stones can come in with Jagielka there. The thing for me is, the worry for me is that that's the next area that's got to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed with a goalkeeper. Well, it needs to be addressed with a centre half.
We've seen Distan go off later on. I couldn't understand why he wasn't taken off when John Stones was taken off. For me, that was just a waste of a sub from what we've seen later on. You know, we end up with two of our centre midfielders in the back four, which again just seems a strange day from Roberto Martinez's point of view. But for me, I think one thing that has to happen is I just think John Stones needs to be just left there, and you've got to go and find an alternative for a right back, whether that be bringing Tony Hibbert, who, don't forget, just signed a new 2-year contract, into the right back position, or Besic plays there, or Browning plays there. You step them up and you say sink or swim. But for me, I just don't see what the worth is now of moving John Stones out to centre back. I think you know, he had a shaky summer, fair enough, but he's coming to the West Brom game and he's had a great game. He's made that tackle, and Wolfsburg had a decent game, and just even from the point of keeping the ball and going forward, it gives you that something else. And I just think he just needs to be left alone playing centre back and do something else at right back, bring someone else in.
I think the thing is, when you've got, you know, people talk about the final third, and that obviously wins you games, how good you are in that final third, but the defence is so important. You've got nothing. If you've got nothing solid at the back, you can't win anything. It really is built on sand, because doesn't matter. Everton have scored a lot of goals. You're 2.1 a game, average or something.
Our games this season have had, I think Goodison have had as many goals in as games from the. You'd have to go back to when before you had football nets. Honestly, Gavin Buckland, a brilliant Everton statistician, was saying yesterday, it's like the 1800s and didn't even have nets. So that just shows you how far back you've got to go.
I just mean us in terms of scoring goals, though. Every game, we've scored more than two or more in every game.
We will score goals in every game, without a shadow of a doubt.
But we've got to tighten up at the back, and the only way you tighten up at the back is you keep a back four that plays together. You don't chop and change, and you make sure.
Do you know what the most annoying thing about it is, though? The most annoying thing is, you know, when you get some teams where they say, "Well, you couldn't score them goals if you didn't concede them." We don't need to concede those goals to score the goals we get. And do you know what I mean? Some teams it's all about just basketball kinds of football. Yeah. We're not like that. We're just conceding goals because of all the mistakes.
It's just individual errors. You can go through every game and there's an error in every single game.
If we cut them out, we'd still score the same amount of goals. Easily.
Cut them out, we'd be top.
We said this all last season. But
you know what? It's one of those things where it just feels a little bit, to me, this is just my own personal opinion, but it just feels as though this should have been happening 12 months ago, not now, because it feels like yesterday, especially, the players didn't really have any conviction. They looked a little bit, what are we doing? Are we doing the right thing? And I think now, if we can just start eradicating this stuff, we will climb up the league.
Is it, though, because you say this time last year, but maybe is it because some of those players now are 12 months older, and they will start making those mistakes because they're getting on, and some of them need to be, you know, put out to pasture, and it's never an easy thing to do, but we've all gone through it, whether it be Ratcliffe, whether it be your Weirs, your Watsons, your Stubbs, Andy Gray. We've all been there. All been there, and it's hard. It's
tough decisions.
It is. Southall, I was at the game with Nigel Martin when Thomas Mara played his first game at Leeds, and you've got to make them decisions.
Clean sheet.
He did.
That's it. Played Joel Saturday.
Sometimes you've just got to make those hard decisions.
It's hard. It's what makes managers. It's what makes Liverpool are suffering the same thing with Steven Gerrard, with Brendan Rodgers. He's scared to do it at this time. What you have to do as a manager is you have to go, right, sentiments out the window. And Roberto Martinez might be doing this, but it does happen. And like you say, you mentioned Neville Southall, you mentioned Andy Gray. We just won the league with Andy Gray, and he's getting a new carpet laid, and our Kendall turns up and says, I'm selling you. Just bought Gary Lineker off your pop. You know, Derek Manfield, it happened, Dave. It's happened to all of them. If you stick around long enough, it happens, unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
I suppose the biggest problem is that we're a month in, not even a month in, to the window being shut.
Look,
and you can't go out and buy those players.
No, but we've got Tyrone Mears on trial, so there you go.
Don't start making things up. He's not on trial.
Is he there with the training kit on?
He's getting fit.
How's he getting fit? Can we just walk into Finch Farm and do some training with the first team? No. But
some people probably think we could.
Yeah, we couldn't. Believe you me. But it's one of those things. It's very early, and it might be like we're jumping the gun, and it might be like we're overreacting. We're just disappointed because it feels to me like the pre-season was a little bit up and down, and we've just started the season really deflating because we finished so well. And
it's going to be one of them seasons.
But it could be because the cups could be the thing, or it might be. But I still personally believe that if we can get to Christmas 6 or 7 points off the Champions League places, we'll be in good shape.
Yeah,
especially with this squad.
And we've got plenty of games coming up as well. You know, Swansea is there. You're probably watching this video and it's probably already happened. The Derby, Krasnodar, going to Old Trafford. So there's so many games. So many games ahead to look forward to, and get all the players at the same level.
Just
and
get Joel in. We'll be all right.
I think once a lot more of these players are at the same level, I think it's going to be a lot easier for Roberto Martinez to make his decisions. Right, you have been watching Toffee TV. Don't forget, subscribe. There should be a little button above my head, I think, with the right way round. Toffee TV 1 on Twitter. Toffee TV, find us on Facebook.
ToffeeTV.net is the website. Go there.
Get on there.
Videos, blogs,
whichever way. Find us. It's all down here. All the information. From Baz, from Ped. We'll see you soon.